All right. Shalom, Israel. I'm preaching officer of 1,000, Thamayam. I got with me preaching officer of 1,000, Sharatazah Halak, and I am teaching the I.S.U.P history and news class. Today is going to be about news, the latest news about Alligator Alcatraz. Okay? Alligator Alcatraz is an immigrant detention center in in Everglades, Florida, right outside of Miami, And the class topic is about Gator bait reincarnated. The reason why I chose these two terms and put them together is because Alligator Alcatraz is the oppressor. These damn devils feeding black people to alligators all over again, man. All right. And it's very important that you understand this is what's going on. This is what's happening on the earth right now. They doing it all over again, right in your face. And our people is like, not too worried about it because they feel like they're not a part of the Haitians. They're not a part of the Mexicans because they are so-called American. But what you gonna do when you are next? What you gonna do when you are next on Donald Trump list? To be escorted somewhere else outside of America because he feels like that you not want to get with the agenda and the program of America. You want to complain or anything that they see not fit that's going along with their program. What's he going to do when they start to escort you? All right, and put you in a cage and prevent you from not seeing your family. And if you try to escape Alligator Alcatraz, you become gator bait. Hell, you might become python food, panther food. It's all kind of exotic animals that are so-called predators in the Everglades, man. Not only animals, the weather, the habitat. Everglades is a dangerous place, man. The Everglades in Florida is one of the places in Florida that alligators and crocodiles coexist with each other. So I'm talking about gator bait. What about the crocodile? Do you know how aggressive crocodiles are? If they see you, they'll come out the water and attack on sight. This is a very dangerous place, man. This is more dangerous than Alcatraz that in history. Alligator Alcatraz is a totally different type of monster, man. A monster that's not to be reckoned with. There's no escape. All right, and we're gonna read an article about it. All right, but you got it, Shabbat Desire?
God. Let me pull it up.
All right, man. I got some heavy, deep information about this detention center for immigrants. It's hell on earth for them. This place right here is very inhumane. I know a lot of people go to jail and you behind bars, but it's more miserable. It's more hellish to be in a cage like an animal, man. And that's how they treat non-people. But because they're not so-called American-born citizen, you don't think they're your people. That's how brainwashed America got us, man. Let me tell you something about these oppressors. You could be Russian. You could be so-called South African, and you're a Caucasian. Donald Trump will aid them help. He will aid them help. He's doing it right now. But to our people, they aid us no help. Instead, they aid you a cage and they aid you a facility. Well, if you try to escape, you're going to be gator bait all over again, man. All right? But go ahead and read the article.
God. It says, based on the search results, the term Alligator Alcatraz refers to a controversial immigrant detention center in Florida that has been criticized as being racist, cruel, and inhumane.
Right, because they putting people in cages. How can you put a human being in the cage like an animal, man? all because he wasn't born in the United States of America. Hell, from my understanding, Donald Trump, your parents are immigrants. Huh? Some of your people need to be in the dog cage. How you treat blacks and Hispanics and the American Indians over here in this place, all of you goddamn pilgrims should be in the damn dog cage. Because you have no compassion. You are very inhumane. You know, why can't you just deport the so-called, Mexicans and Haitians to back to their place, man? Why you have to do all this cruelty to these people, man? Because you hate my people. You hate them. Out of all the places on earth, you choose the state of Florida to lock up immigrants. And I tell you why they choose the state of Florida, man. Because the state of Florida is known for the most horrible racism you ever seen in your life, man. To feed little black babies to alligators and kidnap these babies from their parents, and then when the alligators eat their babies and their babies are at a point of no return, you give the parents $2. $2. This happened in slavery, man. The babies don't come back. All right, but let's read on.
It reads, here's why many people view alligator Alcatraz as having racist connotations. Historically, parallels to Jim Crow era propaganda, the nickname alligator Alcatraz and associated jokes about immigrants potentially being eaten by alligators have drawn comparisons to deeply racist imagery and propaganda from the Jim Crow era, where black people were depicted as alligator bait.
Now, guess what? Black and Hispanics, they both together gonna be gator bait if they try to escape alligator Alcatraz. You know? And this is how you know we are the same people. Because we stay in the hood together. We get locked up together. We work together on the job site. You know? And now, if you try to escape this disgusting place called alligator Alcatraz, you're gonna become gator food, crocodile food, python food, panther food, black bear food.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? There's so many animals in the Everglades. You know why? Because a lot of oppressors buy, predator animals from other places, and when they don't want to eat pets no more because they done got too big, too aggressive, they drive on down to the Everglades in Florida and drop that's down there in the Everglades, man, that
Right.
can eat you alive. And not just only that, me and Shiratiza got some heavy information, man, on how the water can unalive you. If you try to just swim in the water and say you got away from the alligator, say you got away from the crocodile, the water in the Everglades can unalive you, man. And other creatures as well, insects, plants. Donald Trump knew exactly what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. But read on.
This historical context is seen as deeply troubling and dehumanizing by many. Dehumanizing language and actions. The facility's location in the Florida Everglades, surrounded by wildlife, and the use of language that suggests immigrants are to be deterred by alligators.
You see? And this is on the internet, man. This is on Google, man. You can just look it up. But when you don't care what's going on with your specific nation of people, it gets unheard of. Fake news. You'll do whatever it takes to make it look like it's not a big deal because you want to be a part of America so bad. Your goddamn American dream. You willing to risk your people, being oppressed in dog cages, man. Shratazar, give me that other article. The last one.
Okay.
Not the second one, the last one. Matter of fact, we're going to put that second one, man, of what kind of animals can do harm to you, man. You know, unalive you. I want to show you what Google say, the internet.
You want the second one?
Yes. Baba Gashaw. Yeah, man. It get more deeper the more we get into it, man. That's it?
Yeah, this is the second one.
And what it says?
It says focus on deterrence and...
Not that one. Give me the third one, Salaki. The third one.
Okay.
Yeah, the third one going to show you plants, animals, and, you know, rivers that can bring death to you when you try to escape this place. So the hell with ICE. Donald Trump using the alligators and the crocodiles and the other animals that's in the Everglades to be ICE. But these specific animals gonna eat you alive, man. Now Donald Trump ain't got to worry about deporting you. But this really is about making sure no one escapes. No one comes back to America.
Mm.
And this is what he calls making America great again. By putting you in hell, that's how America could be great again.
Right.
But America never been great for us. America been great to them when they had you in slavery, when they could just kick you out of your own land. Because that's what happened to the Mexicans. The Mexicans was in America before these damn oppressors, man. This was their land. And the American Indians, the Mexicans, you know, the Seminoles, all of them are indigenous to this land. This is their place, man. They was in California, Texas, Arizona, man. But in order for them to make their precious America great, they have to make you suffer and oppress you. All right? But Christ's going to come back, man, and make sure that don't happen. It's not going to be a repeat. History should not repeat itself with us being in chains and them having us on the plantation back on the bottom with no type of salvation, man. All right? Read on.
It says encounters with dangerous wildlife. Alligators and crocodiles. Though unprovoked, attacks are rare. These powerful predators can pose a threat, particularly if people venture too close to the water or harass the animals.
Okay, that's not the one I need neither. I need that next one where it have a list of the python, the alligators, and the crocodiles, list of animals that could attack you and harm you. Do you see it?
No, you didn't send me that one.
Okay, how many you got?
I just have 3.
Oh, I guess I forgot to send that to you. But no sweat. I already listed those animals, you know. But what I mean to really bring out the mosquitoes could give you malaria.
Mm.
You know, that going off rip unalive you in the swamps of Florida.
Right.
There's no escaping the mosquitoes. The mosquitoes gonna get you regardless in Florida. You cannot run from the mosquitoes. You know, when I come out my door sometimes after it rains, the mosquito gonna get you. So imagine the mosquitoes in the Everglades.
Right.
Mosquitoes get real aggressive and stronger when they're around water. The Everglades ain't nothing but water.
Yeah.
You know? And a long time ago when Andrew Jackson was fighting the Indians, a lot of his soldiers died from malaria before they even reached the Indians. So they know they were doing. They know exactly what they was doing when they created this place called Alligator Alcatraz. All right. So let's get Salakia, Ecclesiastes 1 and 10. The one I sent you on the WhatsApp, Salakia.
Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 10.
Go ahead.
Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 10. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before us.
Read on.
There is no remembrance of former things.
Go down to the next scripture where it says, there's no new thing under the sun.
Okay. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun.
And which scripture that is? That's 11 or 10?
That's verse 9.
That verse 9? Okay. So read that from the top again. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9.
Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9. The thing that hath been, it is that shall be, Salaki. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun.
Hey, a lot of people might be shocked about this alligator Alcatraz. You know, people saying that people gonna be eaten by gators. But guess what? Like I said earlier in the class, this is not a new thing.
Right.
This had already happened before. It was a time in Florida in the 1800s where hunters used to hunt alligators. These were oppressors, you know, pilgrims that were hunting alligators in Florida. The alligators was, unaliving these pilgrims, you know, these oppressors. So these oppressors got tired of being unalive. So you know what they did? They got black babies. They put them in cages or put them on a log, you know, halfway in the water. And a gator will see the baby crying and screaming. And instead of attacking a hunter, he'll attack the baby. And the hunter will unalive the alligator with his shotgun. But guess what? That black baby is gone. And guess what? He got the gator. He made gator purses out of the gator. Alligator shoes, all kind of accessories. And after he got paid, he so-called called himself having some sympathy, Shabbat, and would give the parents $2 for that baby. What a very inhumane, horrible thing to do to a human being. But back then, we was not considered human beings. We was considered property, a resource. All right? That's how they look at us still today. Even though they tell you they love you, you American, they treat you like a third-class citizen. Not a second class, a third-class citizen, man. They still unalive you, and they're still showing you that they will feed you to alligators. They will feed you to a crocodile. You know, gator bait all the way back again, man. Gator bait reincarnated all over again. Right back in your face. You know, and in Florida, when they did it in the 1800s, they had postcards in the 1800s to get other oppressors to come down here, you know, and be amazed at the wonderful things in Florida. That postcard was so amazing to them to see a black baby on that card being eaten by an alligator. That's what they did before they had postcards of Disney World, postcards of, or any kind of water park they got in Orlando, any kind of amusement parks. Before they had a postcard for these theme parks, they had a postcard of black babies being fed to alligators. Then years later, down the road, they made candy. They were called, I think, if I ain't mistaken, Shabbat, black licorice drops or something like that. Black licorice drops, you know, and then it turned into nibs. And from my real understanding, I hope it didn't turn to Twizzlers. But don't quote me on that. But a lot of these candy companies, you know, any kind of company in America, a lot of them have slavery for their foundation in their beginning. And you
Right.
don't know it because you don't care about history. But guess what? History is now repeating itself. Black people is being fed the Gators all over again, and Hispanics is being fed the Gators because we are the same people, you know, in the same condition, no
Right.
matter how you want to put it. All right. Give me that last scripture, Sharatazar, Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 7. Baba Kashaw.
Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 7.
And also, when I say Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the same people, I'm saying that we are the 12 lost tribes of Israel, man, that got scattered all over the earth by these oppressors. And they
Right.
played the game of conquer and divide, conquer and division. And this is what's going on. They conquered us and they divided us. Now they got these group of people over here calling themselves Mexicans, Cubans, Puerto Ricans, Haitians, Jamaicans. All of these names are different terms that the oppressor gave us to confuse us to be against one another, thinking that we are one individual people that come from these different parts of land masses. Know what I'm saying? Well, that's not the truth. The truth is that we are one people that was scattered from Israel by these oppressors and the rest of these nations that swear they ain't had nothing to do with slavery.
Right.
That's what happened. All of them had a hand being crafty, scattering us and making us remember that, making us not remember that we are Israel, making us not remember who we are. That's what they did. And that's what's being done and played out in our face over and over again, man, by letting those so-called fake Jews claim our heritage.
Come on, sir. And and that's the confusion. That's the confusion with our people, because they keep calling us African American. You know, they keep calling us these bywords still today. Every time they talk about us or say something about us on the news, or they write a story or whatever about us, it's always African American, or, you know, the Mexicans. They don't never call us by who we really are.
Right.
And that's the Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites.
Right.
You know?
Damn right, man. Damn right. You know, and they always gonna attack the Israelites. That's why Mexicans, Haitians, you know, and these so-called Negroes that think they special, they being attacked in America right now. I don't know why they think they special. I don't know why African Americans, so-called African Americans, you want to be that, think you are special, and they're not gonna deport you when they attack you and unalive you in America every damn day.
Yep.
All right, you their favorite. You their favorite to oppress. You their favorite to see dribble a basketball and be their entertainment. Hey, and believe it or not, even when we was in our own land, these oppressors, you know, had us neglect. What what's that used to call Shabbat?
What's that?
Those Greek sports where you had the gladiators. You know,
Oh, you talking about the Roman Colosseum?
yeah, in the Roman Colosseums. I forgot what the Greeks used to call it, but they had us in these places of entertainment, being fed the lions and, you know, bears and gators too. You know, for
Right.
amusement, especially on their birthdays. You know, the 4th of July this year. You know, I seen pictures of people, my people, you know, having a firework blow up their hand, unaliving each other, fighting chaos. You know why this happens? Because we have no business celebrating these days. These days are oppression to us, man. You are supporting the people that oppress us, and guess what? Oppression come back to you. You know, you supporting death. So death is what you're gonna get. You was not gonna get no type of life, no type of prosperity or success from supporting oppression, man. And when you don't want to recognize and admit that Mexicans are our people, Mexicans and black people are the same. They American Indians, we are the same. When you don't want to admit that and join the armies of America, man, you coming against yourself. As far as I see Mexicans and blacks, you know, and the ICE, you know, agents organization, you know, getting their own damn people deported in the uniform. Like, it's like, do you even have a conscience? Like, these are your people.
Con, I've seen some of them cry and say they didn't sign up for this.
Right.
You know, and that's why you shouldn't be joining these the oppressors' military or the oppressors, you know, police force. You should just stay out of it, because you're gonna have a dirty job to do. You're gonna have to oppress your people. You're gonna have to go against your own people, and then you ain't gonna be able to sleep at night.
Right. Right. That's why it's so important to separate from America and join your nation, man. Understand, it is over. It is over. It been over. But now you should truly understand that it's over. They put a idiot in office, and this idiot ain't hiding his racism. He told black people, you should vote for me. I'm the best vote. I'm gonna do this and that for black people. I'm gonna do this and that for Hispanics. You know, Elon Musk, he got people, the Hispanic people, to vote for Donald Trump by giving them money. And look what happened. Look at the side effect. Now this man done built the notorious alligator Alcatraz in the backyards, you know, in the swamps of Florida.
Right.
To make sure you don't escape. The Everglades is somewhere people don't really like to go, man. It's not pleasant. You know, it's not pleasant to even camp there, you know, to do anything there. You know, you better make sure you in a car with the door locked, and so you don't feel on mosquitoes. You don't have to breathe in that air. The water, it smells horrible out there. You just don't know the situation that our people are going to be in. You know, but you got that scripture, Sharatazah?
God. Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 7. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee.
America tells you to forget about the past, but the Bible tells you do not forget about the past. Remember the days of old. Remember the past. Because if you don't remember the past, your head is not going to be on the swivel. You're not going to be aware. You're not going to be paying attention for the hook this oppressor going to throw at you, man, and knock you off balance. Just to keep you on the bottom and never to rise up on your feet, man, and be successful on this planet, man. That's why it's so important that you remember the past. You remember the days of old when they had you on the plantation, hanging you from trees, feeding you to alligators. You know, on the translated slave ships, they have you at the bottom of the boat like sardines, making black people walk the plank so sharks could get fed. Now there's a route in the Atlantic Ocean where sharks always take, because they remember all the black slaves they ate on that trail from Africa, you know, to America. And guess what? Even over there in Africa, they was over there oppressing us, man, because we ain't African.
Right. And
they had the East African slave trade where the Africans were selling us to the Arabs. But the Arabs in your neighborhood, smiling in your face, you know, making money in your neighborhood like they ain't do nothing wrong. Their hands clean. They hands just as dirty as these pilgrims, man.
Right.
But you got anything to say, Sharatazah, before I end the class?
Con, you know, and you know, your Christian church, the pastor tells you forget about the past. The past don't matter. Well, God don't want you to forget about the past. God tells you to remember the days of old. And it's sad to see a lot of our people who say that, you know, some of our people say, you know, I'm glad Trump is president because it just shows the racism of America. You know, when I hear that, you know, it kind of trips me out, because if you think it took Trump to show America was racist, then you need to remember the days of old.
All right.
You need to do some history, because America was always racist, always had been, always will be. It is never going to change. You know what I mean? So that little fairy tale that you know that you got going on, that the pastor is telling you, you know, forget about the past, and you know that Martin Luther King dream, just throw that in the toilet, man, because that's what's destroying us.
Right.
Like, God wants you to remember the days of old. You know what I mean? And consider the years of many generations, because what you seen happen back then is the same thing happening today.
Right. Right.
Nothing changed.
Damn right. And when you remember the past in the days of old, you will understand if you're gonna forget something, forget about the American dream. Forget
That's
about
right.
Martin Luther King and George Washington and all the so-called founding bloody fathers of America. You know, forget about the United States of America. Forget about your nightmare, man.
Right.
That's what you should forget about. Goddamn this place. But
That's
you
right.
don't want to remember the days of old, so you embrace this place. All right? But if you got anything else to say, Shabbat Desire? I'm done.
That's all I got.
All right. This is the I.S.U.P Florida History and News. Shalom.
Shalom.